Hi everyone, Kelly here, and this weekend, starting on Thursday actually, is the Stay Home Reading Rush, which is a short readathon that the people that do the big reading rush readathon over the summer are hosting. Just kind of since we're all stuck at home, they thought we could do a little reading rush mini thing in April. So April 16th through 19th, if you haven't heard of it. It's just a time to everybody get together on their own at home and read and be able to like post about it online. So Ariel, who is the originator of the Reading Rush, she did a tag video recently where she just created a small tag to talk about this specific readathon this weekend that will also include your TBR books. So I'm just gonna do that. It's really quick, there's not that many questions, and then at the end will be my books that I'm planning to read over that 4-day weekend. So the first question is, how is your reading going while staying at home? So it's been a month since I've been staying at home. My daughter's last day of preschool was on March 13th, and I'm recording this on April 13th, so it's been a month, and in that month, I would say that reading is not going great. And I think part of that is that just, you know, with so much happening and news and like information being like overload online, I find myself checking the news way too much, and especially those first couple of weeks, the last 2 weeks of March when everything was starting in the United States, I read 2 books, and then in the last 2 weeks I've read 5 books. So it's getting better. I'm starting to be able to focus more on reading, but yeah, it's not going great. Like that might seem like a lot, but for me that's not a lot, because I usually read about, I don't know, 15 to 18 books in a whole month. So 5 in 2 weeks is not great, but I'm fine because I'm starting to read the news less, and I'm starting to just like mood read and kind of like do what I feel like doing when I'm doing it, instead of like feeling like I have to. Not that I felt like I had to read a lot before for my YouTube channel. I just didn't really do a lot of other hobbies, and now I'm playing a lot more games with the people living in my house because, you know, we just want to entertain each other. We've been watching shows together and stuff like that. So doing more stuff together instead of doing kind of individual things. So reading hasn't been the top priority. So that's fine. I don't think it's going bad. It's just different the way life is going now. And the second question is, where have you been reading at home? And you are looking at it. So this is, I always film here. This is also kind of the spot on the couch that I sit at all the time, because this is where I keep my currently reading books. And so it just makes sense that I sit here and read. I also sometimes sit in the chair that's right across from where I'm sitting. So this is just the room that I generally read in. I also read in bed before I go to sleep. And so those are kind of the places I read while I'm staying at home. And then the best book you've read during isolation. Well, like I said, I've only read 7 books since I've been self-isolating. And of those 7, only 2 of them were 4 and 5 stars. So I had 1 4-star book and 1 5-star book. So they weren't, I haven't been reading really great books that I've loved. And actually both of those books that I gave higher ratings were both my rereads. Out of the 7 books I read, the 5 new ones were all like 2 stars or just kind of average 3 stars. So I guess if we're talking about the best, I'll go with Tell Me 3 Things by Julie Buxbaum. This was a reread, and this is just a cute like YA contemporary romance, and this is the first thing I read when we started self-isolating because I just needed to pick me up. I needed something quick and something I knew would be happy, and since this is like a cutesy little romance, it was perfect. I read it in 2 days and it really like lifted my spirits up. So I would say this is the best book that I've read in the past month. But it doesn't have a lot to compare to because there wasn't a lot of good books in this month. And then what's your favorite feel-good book in general? And I would have to say that some of the books that I'm choosing to reread right now are feel-good books for me. So right now I'm rereading Harry Potter. I'm reading Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, and then I'll continue the series. So those are always feel-good books for me to read. I'm also gonna be rereading the Lunar Chronicles coming up in the next month, and so those I would consider a feel-good read. So I just got a lot. If you have seen my video recently where I talked about the like rereads I'm going to be reading soon, all of those kind of feel good to me to reread books I loved before. And then the next question is, book you wish you could buy or borrow from the library. Our library is closed, and I can buy things online, but I'm trying not to buy. I bought towards the beginning of quarantine, but now I'm trying not to like get a bunch of stuff bought online because I want to like stick to necessities. So there are books I want. Normally, the thing that is hard about the library being closed is because I use the library to get new releases, because I don't like to buy brand new hardcover books because they're expensive, and often the wait for the ebook or the audiobook is really long when it's a brand new book. So I usually get the physical new book from the library because I can, like, you know, they usually have enough copies that I can get it soon. And so that's what I'm going to be missing, is that like all the new releases coming out in the spring, I probably will be waiting quite a long time to get them on ebook. And one I can say specifically, an April release that I won't be able to read for a while is Time of Our Lives by Emily Wibberley and Austin Sigmund Broca. And this is a YA contemporary. I read their other two books and just really loved them. And so I was excited to read this one, but I might have to wait a while because like I said, it'll just be a longer wait for the ebook than it would have been for the physical book. And now my reading rush TBR. And there are 4 prompts, but only 2 of them are really very specific, because one of the prompts is read a book in the same room. Well, I pretty much read all my books in the same room, so I'm not going to pick a specific book for that one. And the other one is book that will make you smile. And I would say about half of the books on my list are kind of feel-good books, so they would probably make me smile, so I'm not going to pick a specific one for that prompt. So the only 2 prompts I'm going to focus on are a house on the cover and set somewhere where you would like to go. And let's be honest, the book could be set in Target, and that would be a place I want to go, because I haven't gone anywhere other than a quick trip inside the grocery store for the things they couldn't give me on curbside. And that is the only place I've gone. So I would go anywhere. So this is not like a hard prompt to fulfill. So I've got some options, because I am always the type of person that likes to have lots of options. And kind of the way I did this, because I'm kind of going away from my April TBR, the books I was planning on reading. What I wanted to do, because it's only 4 days, is I wanted to read books that would kind of go quickly. And so I'm picking one thriller, because thrillers I always just read very quickly, and because I gotta find out what happens. And then one like romance books, because that's just a feel-good book that'll make me smile and it'll go quickly. And then I want to read one of my library books, because I have several books out from the library, and someday the library is going to open and they're going to want all their books back. So I gotta start making a dent in those library books. So those are kind of like my parameters that I set as well for myself for this reading TBR. So the first one is for a house with a book on the cover. I'm picking from one of these 3 thrillers, and this will be my thriller I want to read. So I'm not picking it down to 1 now, because I want to see which one of these I can get on audiobook, because sometimes that helps for me to have an audiobook over the weekend while I'm doing chores and stuff. And usually thrillers are really fun on audiobook. So I'm either going to read Sherry Lapina, An Unwanted Guest, which has a house on the cover, The Winter People by Jennifer McMahon, which, yeah, that's a house. I thought at first it was a barn, but no, that's a house. And The Broken Girls by Simone St. James. So one of these creepy thrillers I will be reading this weekend. And then in terms of romance books, I'm gonna choose between The Worst Best Man by Mia Sosa, which I think would be a book that would make me smile, or Love and Luck by Jenna Evans Welch. This will also cover the whole prompt of a place set that you wanna go, because this is set in Ireland. So one of these cutesy romances I want to read. This one's from the library, so that would help me with that. And then the last one are just 2 other library books that I'm going to choose between, or ones that are interesting to me, and they don't fill any of the other prompts. They're just ones I'll either sit and read all in one room, I guess, because they're both fairly short. So I'm going to pick between Be Not Far From Me by Mindy McGinnis, which is a survival story about a woman who goes out into the woods and gets separated from her group and is surviving. And this is really short, so this will be a good one for reading all in one room, because I could just sit down and read it in like a day. And then I have The Shadows Between Us by Tricia Levenseller, and this is a fantasy. I just figured with all these other kind of real life type books, I might want to throw in a fantasy, and I've heard some good things about this one. And it doesn't look very long either. It's only 300 pages, so this might be a good one to throw in for the readathon. So yeah, I'm not gonna read like every single one of these books, but I will pick My goal is to read 3. Like I said, 1 thriller, 1 romance, and 1 library book picked from this group of books. If you know what you're going to read for the Stay Home Readathon, let me know down below. I'll talk to you later. Bye.